when you're ready. Good evening, everyone. Gary Gabagool here, my boy Sal. Hey, everybody. Want to wish everyone out in Facebook and Red Podcast number 44 land happy Valentine's Day, happy Ash Wednesday. Incredibly early. We're coming into
early Ash Wednesday.
The very early Ash Wednesday. We're coming into White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane with Grace Slick, and the theme of the show today, if you read what Sal wrote on the intro, is this week has been just an unbelievable exposure of written documentation, of videos, of emails, texts, of just what's happening. And we're going to get into it. So
we're going to go down the rabbit hole.
We are going to go down the rabbit hole. So, and I want to thank everyone in Facebook. Even though I've been following it myself, I want to thank everyone who's taken their time to send me this stuff on QAnon. And guys, if you're not familiar with who QAnon is the modern day version of Wiki. Except if you read it, it's a little choppy. When Wiki put their stuff together, it was more organized and easier to transition through. QAnon kind of does it in a way that's very hard to read. He numbers it and he just lays it out there for you. He kind of wants you to navigate on your own, and even says research on your own. He doesn't do his research for you, but he exposes the actual emails. So, for example, and also interestingly, he gives his opinion of stuff. So when he sees something that's really corrupt or really bad, he gives you his opinion on what he thinks will happen to these people who he's exposing. And he's kind of a radical hard ass, which I like in a good way. He just doesn't like corruption. So that's the kind of stuff I want to go with first. But yeah, I want to turn it over to Sal, see if Sal has anything, and then I can get into what we're going to talk about.
Well, I have only a couple of subjects on what we're going to talk about tonight, and one is really funny and one is really sad. So we'll get into a little bit more. It's not as pertinent as the government stuff that I know you're going to get into. So we can get into that stuff first.
It's interesting. I've been researching this for months, and I found out about it. But before, back in maybe 10 podcasts ago or 8 podcasts ago, before I brought it up, I want to make sure we verified it. So I have verified it, and I've been going over. So QAnon put something out, and he called that the Decode plan. It's called the Decode, DECODE. It's been going on for 16 years. And the part that really raises a flag is up until recently, I would say up to about a year and a half ago, we weren't able to hack, or they weren't able to get any of this information, probably until Guccifer got in. I think Guccifer's 3 years old. So right when Guccifer started getting in, then people realized that they could hack these emails. So the Decode plan is 16 years old. It was started by Soros, and the Cliff Note version is this, people. It's basically a combination of the Communist Manifesto and the Rules for Radicals in modern day times. So what they did is they really updated it to like 2017, 18. So basically, they went into all these building blocks of things they want to accomplish. And all I can tell you, people, is if Donald J. Trump didn't get in, we'd be screwed. We would be completely, when he said the swamp, we talk about it. It's not a swamp.
And I mean, this country isn't the greatest example of democracy at all, but Hungary announced this week that they are no longer allowing Soros-backed groups to lobby in their government.
That's fantastic.
They're banned. They banned them.
I don't know why we don't do that, and I give kudos to Hungary for Sal bringing that up.
Yeah, they do lots of other horrible things. To people,
they do, but that's great. But
at least they banned Soros. They have one thing right.
So basically, the 16-year plan has been this. And like I said, it's not a cesspool. A cesspool or a swamp is small. It's an ocean. And we get into the stuff we're going to get into, but these are just some of the things they installed as their building blocks. And we could talk about them individually, or we just talk about them. But basically, install rogue operators, remove all good guys. That's basically FBI, CIA, DOJ, State Department.
Any level of intelligence.
Correct. So we all knew what was going on there previously. They were pretty successful on their way. They also said they wanted to revise the Constitution, and they've been trying to do that. Another thing.
Oh, you mean guns?
Yes. Well, that's also, it's funny Sal says that. That's one of the building blocks. Get rid of the Second Amendment. fund terrorism. Think about that, people. Fund terrorism and create chaos in the world, in our country.
They did a good job.
They did a really good job of that. Leak.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's the time frame on all this stuff?
This was going back 16 years.
Until I'm sorry, you said that. Yeah, 16 years until now?
Correct.
Okay.
So if Soros started it, and Hillary and Obama, well, Hillary and her people, and Bill Clinton have been involved all this time. Obama kind of got in the last 10 years.
My fault, I missed that.
No, that's fine. This is kind of straightforward. Leak specific classified intelligence that hurts the opposition. That's the whole Russia thing. Yeah. Censor and control all news media outlets and social media. Jesus Christ, this is happening right away. Here's something funny. Make sure we steal billions of dollars from the taxpayer. Jesus Christ. This is open all borders and flood illegals in for the rights to vote.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Right. They won't be able to do that
right now. Yeah, but
they're trying.
They were pretty successful.
Oh, they were going.
Yeah, they were going for it.
They brought in what, 8 million, whatever.
Yeah, I think this.
1.8 million.
I think that when you read this is all previous to Trump getting in. That's why they wanted him to not be elected.
Pre-2017.
Yep. Cut military spending dramatically, which they did. If you go back and look, Obama cut it big time.
To me, this sounds like it started. This was like September 11th.
Yeah,
from on.
Pretty much. Yeah. Appoint far left judges. SOTU. You know the SOTU judges.
Yeah. Supreme Court judges.
Yep. Supreme Court, and remove and make it a goal to remove the Electoral College. Holy shit! Could you imagine that?
Of course.
Wow.
So that the 5 major cities in America could judge everyone else. That's what they want.
And then the last one was, and we know this all to be so true, brainwash and indoctrinate our youth up until college campuses and universities and professors.
Super successful with that.
Really. So when you go back and look at those building blocks that they want, I got to say, as much as I despise the left and as much as I hate liberals, they were incredibly successful. And I'm gonna get Sal's opinion why he thinks they were successful, and I'm going to pin the town of donkey on 2 things. Number one is, and most importantly, we had years and years of pussy Republican leadership that just allowed it to happen.
I'm going to throw this word out there. We've seemed to lose this word in our culture. Maybe not, but we just don't hear it used as often as it should be. They're wimps. Wimps.
Yep.
They went wimpy. They raised our children wimpy. That's what they wanted this to be, a wimpy ass society.
And then the coin on the other side is, are they actually wimpy, or are they a part of it? And this is what they want. They weren't wimps at all. They are benefiting dramatically financially on this.
Of course. And then they make the people docile, and then you bring in the illegals, and no one stands up for themselves, and that's how it goes down.
You know what's crazy? People may say I'm nuts, but this to me has and I'm not talking baby steps, infant steps. I'm talking like maybe teenager steps into manhood.
They make progress. Yeah.
Progress of Nazism. Yeah. This is what they wanted. Adolf Hitler shit. Unarmed people. Get them into camp. This is what it was becoming.
I wish there was that. Man, I wish I had a memory today. The propaganda that Hitler put out in the early 30s and late 20s that swayed the whole country.
That's what this is.
And then 10 years later, he was killing everybody.
And that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. Obviously it didn't happen, and the people of this country rose up and spoke out against it. And this is why when I said last podcast with Sal that voting is so important, because there is no way, even here in New Jersey, I'm just going to sway how important voting was. Murphy got in. He's a scumbag. We all know it. I'm not going to reiterate what he's about. But if you realize and look at how many people voted, it was sad. Ludicrous. Yeah. It was sad.
25% of the state.
Yeah, hardly anybody voted. And if we had voted in numbers like we were supposed to, probably he wouldn't have got in. Or we could have maybe elected a third candidate that we liked. But we all just bothered. A lot of us said, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter because now us here in the state got him. Same thing. This is the first election in President Trump where people actually put their money where their mouth is and showed up in record numbers. They did it in Obama's first. But it was nothing compared to this.
The first one, they got children to go vote.
Yeah.
This last one, everyone got off their lazy asses and went to go vote because they're like, listen, we're either, this is it. We go to socialism and half of us die, or we stop this now.
Well, that's the great part about QAnon. I love what if you could read it, I know it's a little confusing, but read it. He basically said is,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, go.
No, he says this, and this is shit that Sal loves. He says, for all you people who think that I'm a conspiracy theorist or a non-believer, he writes this, go keep watching your CNN, MSNBC. And he goes, you all die. And that's what he said.
So true.
It made me think of you when he said it. It sounds like a young guy.
It's the truth. Where can we find this information?
I'm gonna get it to you. I'm gonna ask G. G could probably have, but I have it in my Facebook Messenger, and I think Carla Caniglio sent it. So thank you, Carla. But I did have it. But I'm gonna get it on there so you guys can look at it. But it is choppy, but to his credit, he doesn't have a field of people working for him like Wiki does. He just is one guy who just throws out. So basically, think about this. Think about if you were a hacker and you just went into someone in DNC, you got these emails. He just dumps them, literally dumps them, and they just come out.
There you go. It's all public now.
Yeah, it's all public. So, but I like because it's funny when I read his stuff. It reminds me of Sal talking because Sal says the same stuff, and you might get some people, and they have in the past saying, Sal and Gabagool, you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're dumb, you're an asshole. But when he says it, and he actually says, keep going back and watching your brain dead sheep. Keep doing it.
True.
But
true, man.
It's right because that was, and I'm gonna keep going through this because there's gonna be a lot of stuff to talk about.
What you're talking about with the school and the indoctrination of students and stuff. This past week in Princeton, I don't know if you saw the story. They tried to do a free speech class in Princeton.
They probably went nuts.
Had to get canceled because the professor he used the N-word.
Oh, I did read this.
You read this?
Oh, they went to the thing. Yeah, he was a Jewish guy. I think his name was Rosen. He didn't give a shit. He's like
he was
saying, get fired.
No, he was doing it to prove a point.
Free speech.
It's free speech, and these are just words.
Correct.
Like
that's actually brilliant.
And it wasn't like he just said the N-word or anything like that. He went through all the derogatory terms. But the black kids, the three of them that were in the class that he can even smart enough to be in Princeton, they stood up and got outraged.
They went to the. I did read this. Yes, I did read it.
And I was just laughing.
What was the outcome? Because I didn't see the outcome.
Oh, the outcome was the class is canceled now. Okay. They're no longer a free speech class in Princeton.
Well, it's funny we're talking about indoctrination. Yeah. I read there was a guy, Northeastern professor named Barry Bluestone, and he came out and he went on this diatribe about how he hates Trump and he hopes Trump was killed, and he even made like a smirking comment that the FBI is not here, so I could say it, haha. Oh well, one of the and it's Northeastern is a very liberal college, but one of the students is a conservative, started taping him. So this female student went to the media and said, "This is what my professor said." Well, he didn't know this. So when people asked him, he said, "I never said that." He said, I wish he would disappear." And then they played it and he ran off. And it just goes to show you like how cowardly and little like wimpy bastards these professors are.
And to our fans out in New York, shout out to you, because New York elementary schools, they're trying to pass this bill or this addendum or whatever you want to call it, to have kids stop using the term best friends. You're no longer allowed to have best friends.
This is
it's ludicrous. It's absolutely insanity.
It's insanity. It's insanity.
Like, you can't, like, you were like, everybody.
And what are you gonna do?
When you're a kid, you always, that's like the term that all kids use.
I use it still today.
Yeah, like. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna send the kids home? Like, what are you gonna do?
You gonna punish them?
How do you discipline someone for having a best friend? I don't get it. But that's the type of inclusion that they're trying to make, and like we always say, you can't have the outcome already established.
No.
You cannot have that already. Like,
right?
That's socialism.
It's funny because this podcast, there's so much stuff to talk about. That this podcast is. I don't want you guys to think we're bouncing around.
Yeah, this still goes along with your QAnon.
Yeah,
I'm starting with the school.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to come up and the next thing I want to talk about and people. This is something. There's a second pervasive theme through this podcast. Excuse me. This is nothing new. The media has been almost silent on all these topics. Yeah. They haven't talked about any of it. So there was something that also came out, and this goes back to Obama. But Obama had 3 guys who he was tight with. One guy is a DNC deputy commissioner and his name is Greg Ellison. The other two guys, one guy's Andre Carsons, and the other guy's Greg Meeks out of New York. And they have a video of these guys all meeting with President Rouhani out of Iran, right when we were negotiating the Iran deal. Also, Louis Farrakhan was there. So you're thinking, what the hell are 3 U.S. senators doing meeting with Iran, the president of Iran, when we're trying to negotiate a deal to have Iran's weapons get taken away? And what they found out basically is when this was all being done with sanctions, that they were circumventing the United Nations whole restriction and
all the policies.
sanction, all the policies. So Barack Obama knew all this was going on because these guys kind of went on his behalf. And this was kept quiet. And this is something else that flew under the radar. So basically, these senators should be fired and jailed for treason because that's what they did with Obama. That's what they did.
This is just another Obama thing. And, I read this week that his organization, the Obama Foundation, whatever the hell this stupid thing is called, that he has money in 15 plus different Senate races, House seats.
Yeah,
he's the one funding it all.
Yeah,
and that they're choosing his foundation over the Clinton Foundation because of Bill.
Wow.
They're finally saying Bill is way too toxic to even have around anymore.
I'm shocked they're saying Bill. I'm shocked they're not saying Hillary.
No, because of me too.
Right.
In quotes.
Right. I'm just
They're
shocked.
afraid of that backlash, even though.
So now it looks
even
like,
though it's Hillary, the murderer.
Well, listen, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to pat Sal and myself on the back again. But Sal, in one of our opening monologues on, I think, podcast 41 or 40, said that there was going to be an internal war in the Democratic Party between the Clintons and the Obamas. And here we go. So now Obama's trying to.
You said Obama was going to win.
I said Hillary's going to win. But here you go. Obama's trying to step up to be a G. And I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can do it. I'm going to give you some reasons why. But there's something else that happened that I have to discuss, and I found out about. I did my own research on this. You cannot find this anywhere, and it's mind-boggling. But there was 2 prominent FBI agents who stepped down last week after our podcast. No one said a word. I found out one guy's name is Michael Corton. He's the assistant FBI director. He stepped down. Also, a guy named David Loffman, who's a deputy of counterintelligence. He stepped down. And you wonder why they stepped down. So I said, wait a second. How did these guys step down? What I found out, there's something called 302s. 302s is the FBI number for, or FBI cataloging of interviews. So what they found out was after they interviewed Hillary on her 302s, they buried the information. And it came up in the Devin Nunes memo that QAnon put out. So we're going back to QAnon again. He published these before Devin Nunes did. So now you know the guy's got credibility because he published them 5 days before they even were pulled up. So, but
that's perfect because I was asking. I was like, what makes this dude credible?
Right.
And that's it right
well,
there.
They also found out that he's not the only one. There was 2 other people. One guy's name was Jim Baker. Another person's name was Tricia Beth Anderson. And basically, in the memo that QAnon put out, that Devin Nunes obviously did later, is he said, we are terrified that coming out of the FOIA Act, which is the Freedom of Information Act, that we will be exposed for hiding these 302s. And they did. And it's funny, too, because besides these 4 people I mentioned, and then you go down the list, there are 12 high-ranking individuals who all knew about this. So basically, all 12 of these people are, and when I say their names, I'm going to blow off 12 real fast. These are common household names. We're talking Obama, Clinton, Brennan, the ex-CIA director, Strzok, Page, Comey, Mueller, Chris Wray, Rod Rosenstein, Weissman, McCabe, Orr. Those people all knew about this and were intrinsically involved in these basic lies to the FBI. To the judiciary committees. It's nuts.
I love it. I love that Trump used like that non-political correct term back. They wiretapped me.
Yeah, they
were tapping them,
They
but
did.
not like wiretapping them like that. They were tapping them all right.
Exactly.
They were doing all kinds of surveillance on them.
Yep.
Man, they are evil scum.
To
go along with another route of the evil Dems, what they do, they like. I can't say it was pedophilia because do you guys remember Ed Buck and Jamel Moore? Remember that story? Remember Ed Buck, that donor who the kid died?
Well,
that was like a big story.
Listen, it's funny you mentioned this. I didn't bring it up, and I'm glad you did because I think what you're going to bring up, and then I'm going to let you go, is his mother's pissed.
Yeah.
Go.
Jamel Moore was the gay black escort who died at Ed Buck's house due to an overdose, but they finally released this kid Jamel Moore's diary, and it is scathing to say the least, people.
Oh.
He uses this guy by name, says he's the one who got him addicted to drugs. He's the one who whores him out.
Well, real quick, was the diary like hidden in his room and his mom found it?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh, shit.
His handwriting, dated, everything. And he's like, I think this guy is going to maybe kill me. He's like, not on purpose, but he's going to make me overdose and I'm going to die. He wrote it down. Like he said, he's like, he's the reason I'm addicted. He's the reason I'm doing all these bad things. I can't stop. He won't let me leave type deal. And this is the Ed Buck, the guy who gave all the money to Clinton Foundation.
He gave a lot.
All the money to Weinstein and all these people. We'll get into Weinstein in a second. Yeah. And it's just so scathing. It's just like this guy, Ed Buck, has pictures with all the Clintons, pictures with the Obamas. It's just like, this is how deep, you know, what you were saying about the QAnon and all that and all that. It's another thing right along with it.
Now here's something for you. If this woman, and God bless her,
I feel she's bad. An outraged mother.
I feel bad. She lost her son. Yeah. It's terrible, but
she says he got stolen from her, basically.
Well, Seth Rich, his parents had this kind of balls. Maybe we wouldn't be in it because Seth Rich. I don't know if you remember real quick, and then I'll give it back to Sal, but they hired that investigator. That investigator was a pretty tough dude. He was pretty much on his game. And like, I think 3 days later, they told that investigator, oh, we want you to stop looking into our son's death. He's lying. And I know what happened. Somebody went to Seth Rich's parents and probably said, either you're going to be killed or your other children are going to be killed.
I want to break that down a little bit because
excuse me.
I think those people, maybe they don't have a big support system. You know what I mean? Friends, family that really would take them back. And we know, you know, this isn't a downplay on white people or other black people stick together, especially in lower socioeconomic cultures like that. They really stick together. So like you can imagine the backing that she has. She's like I got 50 fucking
Well, here's my funny thing.
Guys behind my back that'll take my back.
This is not funny, but where's Al?
Yeah, where's Al?
Jesse?
Where are they?
Where's the other dude?
They should be supporting this lady.
Where you know why? Because they're probably Ed Buck probably gave them a shitload of money too.
They can't say shit.
Al Sharpton has his $5,000 suits on because Ed Buck or the Clinton Foundation.
Al Sharpton probably introduced the kid to him.
Exactly. So that just goes to show you how crazy this all goes. That's why when you tell me Black Lives Matter, they don't give a shit about Black lives. No, they care. Green lives matter.
I mean,
green lives matter.
Money matters.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you want to look at the kid's journal entries, you can just type in Jamel Moore journal and all his stuff will pop up and you'll be blown away.
I wonder if they used other names besides Ed Buck. Did he give you like specifics about anything?
I didn't know.
That's interesting. Stuff. I would like to find that out. I'm gonna
probably have to look at it. There's probably
that'd be pretty cool if he did that.
But it was just like he wrote word for word. He's like, this guy's getting me addicted to drugs. I can't stop. I can't leave. I have no money.
Now does that sound like anybody else we once heard about? Maybe the guy Victor Thorne. Victor Thorne. He wasn't a prostitute, but he was a writer. He said the exact same thing. If I end up dead, Hillary Clinton killed me. Here we go. They're both dead, unfortunately. But speaking of dead, on Sunday morning, it wasn't reported for a while, but a plane flew out of Russia, and it crashed. And they said it crashed pretty much 25. I think not like 25. What do you call it? Like 250 feet outside of the runway, which isn't really that far. It's not far at all. And so what that tells me is there might have been
taking off or landing.
Taking off.
Oh, okay.
So what that tells me is, you're going on the runway and boom, once you're in the air, 250 feet is not far. It's like not far at all.
Yeah.
And tells me it might be a surface-to-air missile blasting them off. But they said there was no foul play. Of course, that all came out. Of course. But when the passenger manifesto was released, it's interesting. Two gentlemen who were very high profile in the Uranium One Hillary Clinton deal were involved in this flight and killed. And so you say to yourself, whoa, wait a second. How is it that these guys died? And the one was Vasily Ivanov. He was the CEO. He died. And then Sergei I think his name was Panchov. He died. And he was a high profile Russian businessman that met with Christopher Steele, who was the author of the Fusion GPS. Now, all of a sudden, these two, and I think they were intimating that our guy Sergey was supposed to testify. He was ready to be brought in and testify, and it tells me he was going to roll on probably somebody, and so they were nervous, and plane goes boom. And let me tell you something. I did some research, and I found out that anyone here watching this, including myself and Sal, knowing somebody that dies in a plane crash, it's 11 million to 1 that you will know somebody that dies in a plane crash, or you actually were in a plane crash yourself. So it's 11 million to 1. That's around the world. Well, it's funny. Hillary Clinton, I did some research, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in the last 6 years or so have died in plane crashes that were colleagues of Hillary Clinton that were supposed to testify, be brought in, or were informants for the government.
It's like 81 trillion to 1 odds.
Yes,
that she knows all this.
So it's amazing. This woman has hit the Powerball about 81 times.
81 trillion worth.
It's insane. And if you knew Hillary Clinton and you died in these plane crashes, you were just some of the unluckiest bastards, I guess, on the planet. It's just insane. It's insane. But yeah, all these people went down, and then and most of them were Americans that went down. These two guys happened to be Russian that went down.
Of course, they had something to do with the dossier.
Yeah, they got to go. They went down.
So this crazy ex-Canadian defense minister, Paul Hellener, is that his name? Hellener? Paul.
Okay.
Hellyer. Paul Hellener. He was the former Canadian defense minister. He came out this week and he said that the Illuminati is real and they run all the world affairs.
Undoubted.
But it's just yeah.
Well,
there's no way to say it and not be crazy.
Well, yeah.
So it's just oh man. I don't know. He really didn't give any information to back it up. It was just why did you say this?
Well, yeah. When I hear the Illuminati, then two other names always get thrown at me. It's always the Bilderbergs and the New World Order.
I was just laughing. It's something that we all feel kind of exists, that there's something out there running the show that we just don't know and what the hell the power is. But to come out and say it like that and not give any facts about it, what are you, a nut?
I think people know what's going on, but you're right. You got to come out. You got to come back with some kind of statement.
You came off as
come out as a fool. But also another and like we talked about last week on the show, Sal and I, every day or every other or third day it's not even being reported. This is insane. The Uranium One memo got dropped, and basically what it said is this guy William Campbell, who's the government FBI informant of 30 years, he has cancer, and he actually said he doesn't care what happens to him. He said they can murder me, I'm dying anyway. He's like, I want to go out on my own terms, guns blazing, being an American patriot for my family and my friends and my colleagues, because I love this country. So this guy's a hero. But guy has videos, recordings, emails. And so basically what he said is 18 months before Obama gave his approval for the CFIUS, which means it went through 9 different committees to get approved. They had all this information. They knew. He opened up the U.S. Nuclear Cooperation Agreement. Obama did. So Obama knew what was going on. Also, you guys remember on a hot mic, he told Putin when he was running against Romney, when I get reelected, I'll be able to help you guys more. And you're like, wait a second, how is there Russia-Trump collusion when the media ignores the fact that he actually said that on a hot mic? He didn't even know it was being recorded. I heard it when it happened, and I was like, what the fuck? Did this guy just say that? And no one ever reported it. The media was protecting him like he was a bubble boy. They would, every time he did something, they just totally went against it. Also, there was a lobbying firm for nuclear weapons called ATCO. They raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and in the memo they said, we're going to kick back money to the Clinton Foundation, and we are going to make it our #1 priority to help Hillary Clinton get elected. Wow. Holy shit. Holy shit. And all these people are tied. I mean, this is our president of our United States, our Secretary of State, dirty as shit. Dirty as shit, like our opening introduction said on this memo. Crazy ass dirty. Crazy ass dirty.
It's just And they got away with it for so long. It's crazy.
The arrogance we talk about.
While just bankrupting its citizens.
Yes.
Wow.
The arrogance, I can't stress to you enough, the arrogance and elitism that you're talking about. When you read these memos and on QAnon or Devin Nunes, and you read these scumbags, like especially these jerk-offs like the Peter Strocks of the world and the Rod Rose, like you almost could see, like if you lift up the memo, you could see like the sarcasm and elitism just dripping off the pages, like calling us. I don't know if you saw this real quick. They were calling people that voted for Trump like jerk-offs and dumbasses and hillbillies. Yeah. And this is how and the funny thing is they said something like, we all went to Harvard. Where did these fools go to? And that just goes to show you these idiots think they're so much better and smarter than everybody. It pisses me off.
My father paid $300,000 for my
exactly.
How much did you pay out of your pocket?
Exactly.
Peasant.
That's exactly the way it is.
Speaking of entitled douche bags, Liz Warren, did you see what she said today?
I cannot stand her. What did she say?
It was great. I don't know how, there had to be some backlash, but of course this is like a liberal paper.
Yeah, so they'll take care of her like they always do.
She spoke to Native Americans today.
Oh, that's great. Did they laugh at her?
That's why they don't show. That's why I'm pissed off because it's only like liberal papers. Of course they had to.
Yeah, they laughed at her.
And she defended herself being a Native American. But she knows the difference between being a Native American and being from a tribe, and that her mother was from a tribe, but she doesn't claim to be from a tribe. And then she talks about the real Pocahontas and its real significance and all this.
She probably went to Google Pocahontas.
She said that she never used her Native American, air quotes,
advantage
to take an advantage to get a break. When we know that she just did. When that's all she has done by saying it. When that's the only reason she became a professor, wherever that
college,
whatever the hell it is, whatever bullshit institution would hire her to be a professor. That's the only reason she even became a guy, because she was Native American.
Do people laugh at her? I gotta see this.
You have to look at it it was like a friggin' CNBC article. It was garbage, but I was just laughing my ass off as I was reading, because you could tell it was all fluff propaganda. So you have to read through the lines, even though it's an actual news article.
Elizabeth Warren.
So I was just dying. She's like, and the one, I was like the Daily Caller or whoever did the review of it, they're like, she just set up Trump to just bash her more and more. Yeah. Like they're like, is she retarded? Like, what is she doing? Like,
well, I want you.
That's entitled.
Yeah, you hit on entitled.
You tell a white woman with blue eyes and fair skin is going to say that claim that she's a Native American in front of a group of Native Americans. That's balls, man. Oh my God.
Since we're talking about elitism in journalism and media outlets being completely fucked up. We have talked about this gentleman before, not a lot, but I kind of been watching this week and I really like him. I actually like him a lot. And this guy's name is Tommy Robinson. And he was in Berlin. And he was in Berlin, and right now Duty's has this toy, he's going crazy. And dude, stop. And thanks, stop. So that was Duty's was playing, he's going nuts on his toy. But anyway, so he's in Berlin, and there was a protest. And I gotta give it to Germany. I know we talk bad about Germany sometimes, but it looks like the people finally rallied to the streets and are sick and tired of this shit going on in their country. So they come out, and he's in there interviewing people. And as he's interviewing people, he meets this woman who's like crying. And she said that her niece, her 15-year-old niece, was murdered by 2 Syrian migrants who raped her and murdered her. And as she's talking, behind him, you hear a voice going, liar, liar, racist. So Tommy Robinson turns around and excuses himself from the woman and says to her, who are you? And she goes, that woman is a racist and a liar. He goes, who are you? She goes, I'm a journalist, but I don't want to talk to you. So he goes, wait a second. You're calling this woman, and he went on to go say, and she had and she goes, she's a liar. And other people started yelling back at her. So Tommy Robinson got like anybody. He said, you're a fascist. And what she responded back to him is, I'm telling the cops.
See, this behavior, that behavior, it could be curbed if they allow just mutual combat.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to establish some kind of there needs to be that threat of, I can't say this because I'm gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I'm not saying you can't say it, you could say it to just be warned. You say something like that,
That's true.
You could get struck.
Yep.
And there needs to be a law about that. I'm not saying kill the person. I'm not saying bludgeon them. I'm saying you get to swing.
Yeah, it was funny though. And then the woman ran away from him. Then she wouldn't talk to him. Then some other journalists wouldn't talk to him either. And then they went back to the woman, and she goes, "You see what we're battling here in Germany?
Because there's no consequence for that behavior."
And it was sad to see this woman. And then she basically said, "This is what we're dealing with." She goes, the women in Berlin and Germany are scared. We're getting killed, and the government will not do anything about it. So the blood is on the hands of Merkel and those shitheads who don't do anything. So that's where we were going, people. Yeah. That's where we were going.
Like Jamie Dimon said it this week. I usually don't listen to this dude at all, his opinion, because I don't like him. But he goes, print media is going to be done in 10 years. I was like,
I think it's
gonna be done sooner than that, but I was like, that's the one thing he said that is like no shit.
I completely agree.
Because these journalists, just like you're saying, they're untrustworthy assholes.
And I'm gonna get into something about this later, real quick. But real quick, I just want to stay. Now we went from Germany, we're gonna go to Sweden, and this is actually comical.
We're on the world tour.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give Sal's opinion on it because I find it funny. But there was a gay protest in Sweden this past week, and Antifa, Soros paid Antifa, happened to be there. So the reason I'm telling you this is because there was a big argument between the gay protesters and Antifa. And the reason being is when the gay protesters were marching in the street, they went by a Muslim neighborhood. And the Muslims were upset because they said that basically Antifa said to the gay people, you are passing a neighborhood of Muslim people and you're insulting Muslims by coming here. They don't want you here. So Antifa chose the Muslims over the gay people, the LBG community. And Sal and I have said time and time again, liberals and Muslims are basically aligned perfectly. Radical Islam is aligned perfectly. So think about that, people. For all you people who march in the gay parade with vaginas on your head, or you marched for the gays, Antifa went against you. Your lifestyle insulted the people they were supporting. So think about how ridiculous you are next time you support an Antifa member or an Antifa cause, because they don't give a shit. You're the useful idiots that they talk about. Because once you help them get elected in, go to your city of choice if you're a gay person and get a Muslim elected into your city, whether you're here in America or overseas. The Muslim will have you killed, and probably whenever the hell he could.
I fail to recognize the outcome from all these protests and marches.
There is none. They're ridiculous.
I don't understand it.
It's ridiculous. There is none.
Someone is getting rich from it, though, and I'd love to know who.
And Soros is spending a lot of money. Soros is spending tons of cash. We already know that.
I think maybe they're just doing it to just try to save the media, just to give them something to show. Like they got nothing right now. They truly got nothing.
The only other thing I want to say about QAnon, and then I have one more thing about him that's important. But one other thing, and this is going to be brief, but I want to get your opinion. You see the Susan Rice thing today?
No.
All right. Susan Rice wrote on Obama's inauguration on January 5th, 2017. She wrote an email on January 20th, and she said that on January 5th, Obama had an email, and Sally Yates, who we know who she was the chick who went against Trump and travel ban. Yeah. Comey, who he said he never spoke to, Biden and her were in a meeting, and she goes, I need to specify that President Obama said we must handle everything by the book. She said it 3 times. And so when it came out in the media, they're like, wait a second, is this just a false way for Obama to cover his ass? That he's going to play it by the book. So what does he normally do? He normally cheats, lies, and steals. So I thought that was interesting. And now they're calling her out, and they actually want to bring her up for questioning on that. So I thought that was interesting. Just how dirty they are.
Let's see where it goes.
We'll see.
The last thing I had was just the media, like we were saying, how they fucking downplay and omit information. The best this week was the Obama self-portraits.
Oh, I found those hilarious.
That was one of the 2 funniest paintings I've ever seen in my life.
I still don't understand.
I don't understand the one where he's sitting in leaves or whatever.
Well, QAnon has a theory behind that. I don't get into that.
All right, we'll talk. And then poor Michelle, like, they made her like a white girl, and I can't believe that she's not outraged over this, over her taking away of her black features.
I was just laughing. Yeah, because they made her look like a I don't know.
They didn't. Well, it doesn't look like her. It actually looks like a woman. Right. It doesn't make sense. Right. Like
it's funny because QAnon went into this, and that's when he went nuts on the conspiracy theories.
Oh my God, those were horrible paintings. My friend Anthony could do better than that.
Yeah, Eric, I don't know who even did that, but the only other thing that, and then I want to get into two things. That
one, go ahead, talk about why the leagues are behind Obama.
All right, so real quick, right before I came on this morning, QAnon released these memos, and what he said is, first off, the two themes of this thing were the media and those portraits and what they represented. He basically, now I didn't know this, and I never noticed. I'm shocked, but now I'm gonna do my research on this. But there's this chick that does the morning. I don't even know what the hell the show's called. I never watched it on CNBC. But Mika Brzezinski, she's with this asshole Joe Scarborough. But they said, why don't you do some research on her dad, Zbigniew Brzezinski? Do some research on him. And I was like, why? And then also you start looking at him, and then he was huge. He just died 1 year ago, but he was huge in the radicalization of Muslims. And the family is incredibly dirty. And Mika Brzezinski is basically, and so what he says in these articles that they're pissed off because saying that the modern day technology is hurting their causes because they're able not to hide shit as good as they used to. So they have to be more careful on how to do it. And this is what QAnon says. Investigate those people in the media who scream the loudest in front of the camera against President Trump. They're the ones guilty of crimes. And then he also said about Joe Scarborough, we talked about this, that they found an intern in his office in Florida dead. Basically dead, and they never investigated it. They just said she died of she was like 19, just died of natural causes.
It's like the whole Gary Condon, whatever that guy was situation.
But just disappeared. But what he said about the pictures, the portraits,
take that thing away from him. It's killing me. Yeah, absolutely killing me.
He said, dude, he's got a new toy and he's going nuts. But
absolutely wild.
But basically, what he said about he said that the flowers in the garden represents pedophilia, deflowering of children. And he said what they're doing now is they're making sure that they have, like Pizzagate, they have emblems for everything now. So when they do this, and he goes, I know, he even says, he goes, for those of you who think I'm a conspiracy theorist or this, he goes, it's being done every day. And he talked about slave trades, something with slave trades as well, has to do with gardening and being on top of
slave trades. Worse now than ever was in the history of the world.
And that's why in December 21st,
videos of these fucking things.
Right. Now. And December 21st of last year, President Trump signed the whole thing on human trafficking. So that was the stuff. So I'm going to get more into the QAnon because I think it's fascinating. And this guy is on his shit because they're definitely picking it up. And then I want to tell you like one thing that I found to be completely, and this is kind of in 2018, this is the kind of state of mind like Sal mentioned earlier in the podcast about wimps. This is about think about this, people. Lawmakers, politicians came out and had a press conference against the makers of Tide. And they said the makers of Tide are guilty of making their pods look appetizing. So they need to be less appetizing so kids won't eat them. So when I first heard this, I thought kids who were eating them were like 4. You know, like when you're a little kid, no, it's fucking kids and teenagers.
Well, that got spread. It was called the Tide Pod Challenge, and it had spread through Instagram.
Right.
That's how all evil shit happens now. Social media, get off. Stop doing it.
My thing is, if I'm a lawmaker, I'm saying, hey, listen, you kids eating Tide, wash it down with some Clorox. That'll get you stupid bastards. Like, instead of them saying,
before you eat the Tide Pod, drink a half gallon of bleach. Please.
Well, it's like, it'll help. Instead of you telling your kids what not to do as 15-year-olds, they're blaming the fucking makers of the product. It's ludicrous. It makes me laugh how dumb these liberal lawmakers are. They're complete fucking idiots.
Hi, buddy.
Dempsey wants to get
he just wants that. He wants the seashell back.
I don't know. You got anything else? And I got one last thing, and I want to close this podcast with a very pro-Trump report. And I'm not saying this is going to be. This is not saying that this is going to be done. I mean, he hasn't accomplished yet, but he came up with today, and I don't know if you heard about this, but he's addressing the food stamp debacle that was under President Obama. Because basically, President Obama, he bragged about how many more people, how many tens of millions of more people he got involved in food stamps. And basically, President Trump said that he wants to stop the food stamp program as it is because it's wrought with fraud, corruption, and all that stuff. And so what he says is he has something called, and what the word is going to be, it's going to be called America's Harvest Box. It's brilliant.
It's a great idea. I'll get into it. He's instead of giving people those stupid debit cards, and I told you guys a story about the girl I worked with at the coffee shop who abused the food stamps.
They all do.
She asked me why I wasn't doing it, and I had to tell her because I'm a normal person. Trump wants to actually, if you want food stamps, you want food, he's going to give you food.
Right.
Healthy food.
Really good, healthy food.
Organic produce food grown here in this country.
The farmers make it.
Yes.
So now you think about how wise that is. Instead of just giving shit out, the farmers are going to benefit. It's going to help them. And then the people are going to get really good stuff.
They're going to eat healthier, and they're going to, like, you can't abuse the system anymore. You can't go buy fucking cigarettes no more. And your stupid food stamps.
Well, it's funny. I used to work in a store back in the day in East Orange, New Jersey, which is a heavily inner city population. And every day, I would say at least 5 times a day, between the 1st and 5th of the month, somebody would come in and say, "Hey, can you give me 50 cents on the dollars of cash?" So if you were, and my boss didn't let it happen, but if you were a corrupt business owner, what you would do is you would get 50 cents. You'd make 50. Well, you make half. Yeah. And then you give them cash, and then and this was a scam going on. So he wants to stop. But here's the thing: they said over 10 years. Now this isn't just speculation. More than one group of individuals said this, that over 10 years it will project to save $130 billion.
Wow.
That is a lot of shkadol. That is a lot of money. And I think see, this is the kind of stuff I love. To me, this is a win-win. You benefit American farmers and
benefit American taxpayers.
Like, correct. I've always said this. Like, I just don't get why this does, like, stuff like this doesn't happen more often, because it just makes so much sense.
Because they skim off the top.
Exactly.
So now they're skimming off the top. Yeah,
they can't fucking rob. They can't rob anymore.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we need 150 billion for food stamps.
Right.
50 billion skimmed off the top.
Exactly. And it's like they carve it up like a card game, like a poker tournament. They whack it up.
It's beautiful.
It's unbelievable.
I was so happy when I read that. I was like, that's a great idea.
It's a great idea. And he has a lot of good ideas like this. And I always used to say shit like this. I'm like, that makes such sense. Like, if you're gonna do something like this, benefit someone in the country so you can produce stuff to make money. And so you keep it local.
Just
don't give it away.
One group, make several groups prosper for us.
It's just brilliant. And it was funny because I was after I saw it, I was trolling some websites, and of course the lefty liberals came out and said it was a bad idea because it's not healthy food, and some people.
No, what they do now isn't healthy. They spend all their money on cigarettes and booze, and then go buy the $1 menu McDonald's. Yeah, that's what they do now.
Exactly what they do.
Cut the shit.
But to me, there's not one thing you can say as an individual, an American, to bash this, because basically what they're giving them is high-end programs where like some people right now who don't have time to cook or don't have time to shop, they order these programs like Harvest Box. They get delivered to their house and they make the meal. It has directions in it. So why the hell? And then people pay a lot of money for that. So you should be happy. This is like what upper echelon people are doing. Watch your TV. Matter of fact, if you watch Shark Tank, it was on. They won. So this is what he's doing. It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Fresh produce sent to your house daily.
And then the only other thing I want to talk about President Trump's accomplishments, and then we'll get out of here and we'll go eat, is that I have a buddy, Donnie, who works at FedEx. He said they had a meeting this past week, and they were raving about President Trump's tax plan and the amount of benefits they're getting from it, because basically FedEx said they're going to drop like $1+ billion into not only their pension, but in raises. I think it's 1.3 billion. So he actually works there, and he says, in his eyes, he said, Trump can do no wrong, along with these other individuals. So that's another success that you don't hear the media talk shit about. But President Trump helping American businesses stay here and making people successful and making America great again, like we talked about.
Duty's just staring at us behind the camera, guys. He's too cute. He's unbelievable.
Our dog, and then we got Squishy here. Squishy's here. Duties is there. So that's it. Duties, it's over there. Duties,
we threw it. It's over there.
It's over there. He's looking at you, and he's got that look on his face. That dog is unbelievable. But with that being said, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done too. Here, we'll get the song going.
So everybody, like I said, happy Valentine's Day to all you out there. Happy Ash Wednesday. My boy Sal.
My
boy Sal. Gary Gabagool out. We'll catch up to you. Look forward to hear from all you guys, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. Peace.
Take care.
Let the song go.
That was good.